Okay, I'd like to start by asking you to use your skills and factor this problem. So you should have asked yourself what multiplies to 25 and adds to negative 10. So that would be x minus 5 and x minus 5. Negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. Add them together and you get a negative 10. Another way to write this is x minus 5 squared. This is then called a perfect square, because if I took the square root of it, I'd get x minus 5, which is a pretty answer. So this is our goal. We want to write perfect squares today. So this process is called completing the square. Right now, if I was to factor x squared plus 6x, the most I could do was take out an x and have x plus 6, which is not a perfect square. Notice nothing is written squared. So instead, what I want to do is I want to put something here that would complete this square. Meaning, what number would I be adding or subtracting to the side here that would allow me to write it as we did on this page, that would allow me to write it in some form of a quantity squared. So looking at this, you might be able to answer the question just from kind of a guess and check and instinctive position, but I want you to think about what number we would add in here in order to complete this square. Hopefully you came up with 9. And I know that's right because then when I go to factor this final problem, what multiplies to 9 and adds to 6 would be x plus 3 and x plus 3, which I can write as x plus 3 squared. So this is now a perfect square. The number 9 has completed the square for what we had originally. Now, this one we probably did in our heads without too much trouble, but as the numbers get a little bit bigger, it's tougher to figure out what number completes the square. So there's a little bit of a trick. If you take the b value, remember the b value is the one that's attached to the x squared, so take your b value, cut it in half, and square that number. It's going to tell you what goes in here to complete the square. So, for example here, my b value is a negative 24. If I cut that in half and square it, it'll tell me what number completes the square. So negative 24 divided by 2 is a negative 12. Squared is 144. So 144 completes the square. If you think about it, again, you can always double check. We would then have the original problem plus 144. I should be able to factor this and get the same two factors so that they can be written as a square. So what multiplies to 144 and adds to negative 24 is x minus 12 and x minus 12. So I know I've done it correctly because it can be written as x minus 12 squared. So I want you guys now again to try this problem. Oops. And I want you to complete the square. If I give you x squared plus 36x. So, hopefully you got 324. Again, you can take your b value, cut it in half, and square it. So this is 18 squared, which is 324. So again, this process is called completing the square, and you're going to need this for what we do in class.